So this is a real Swedish accent?
This is a real Swedish accent.
Okay, I can see why people have problems with mine now.
Okay. I don't find it insulting. I don't find it insulting. I find it endearing. So please.
I did a Swedish accent in the ad, and then I did a thing with them, and I was like, "Yeah, did you guys like laugh at the Swedish accent?" And they were like, "We did laugh because it wasn't Swedish." Like
Wow.
They were like, "Don't even think it was close. It wasn't even funny." And I was like, "Okay."
Hi everyone, Scott and Matty here.
Hi, Daddy.
Ooh. And welcome to Queer as Pop, the podcast where we discuss all things queer and how they intersect with pop culture, politics, and top headlines. Matty, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I am excited for our guest today, and I'm really excited about the topic we're going to talk about today, which is 2020, the year of hell.
I think it's actually the decade of hell, pretty much, at this point, is what it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised that we're already in December, considering what a fucking nightmare it was to reach this point. And I'm sure it's been like that for most people.
Yeah. I mean, where I was living, the lockdown started in early March, and it's just been a long time. I'm just so tired of being inside. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm a hermit who hates people, but I also do like going outside and socializing from time to time, and I am really missing that socialization right now. It's just been way too long.
Are there things that you used to take for granted that has changed you over these past, what is now, 9 months?
Yeah, I have to say one of the things that I definitely took for granted and am really craving right now are just hugs. Like people being able to like hug your friends, your loved ones, that piece of just physical contact that to me, I knew I always liked, but man, I did not know how much I would miss now that it's been so long since I've had that. It's going to be something once life returns to some semblance of normalcy that I will be most thrilled to be partaking in again.
Yeah, I think I agree. I'm not sure if you should call it the luxury, but we've had a very different approach to the whole COVID situation in Sweden. So restaurants and bars have still been open, and I actually went out with my friends for the first time in a very long time last week. And the fact that they had to, because I've been a risk patient during this whole scenario, and the fact that they had to like take blood tests for my sake and just to be able to interact with me that's when it actually hit me for the first time that how extreme the situation has been for everyone. And I've been feeling really, really isolated. I miss hugs too. I really do.
It's the small things, and it's even like one of the things I'd love to do sometimes is even just going to a cafe and just like working from like a more social space where you're not necessarily interacting with other people, but you're in relative close proximity. And not even having that luxury right now is also just very strange. It's one of those things again that I was just able to do so casually, and not even being in close proximity to people I may not even know is something that I also really miss.
But things are actually looking or starting to look better. If we look at the pharmaceutical companies involved in the COVID vaccine, it actually looks like something's going to start to be rolling out just early next year, and hopefully reach a point where we'll be able to get our lives back or at least pretty soon, I hope. But we're actually going to talk about this a little bit more with our guests that we have on, which I am super excited about. And it's going to be an amazing time for you guys to listen to these 3 amazing queens that we have on.
Yeah, I got to say, talking to them has been such a refreshing moment in my life. They're hilarious, they're insightful. They had so much warmth and yeah, it was a dream come true to speak with them. I really had a great time.
Yeah, same. And we're hoping you guys are going to enjoy it as well. So stick around for Trixie Mattel, Miss Coco Peru, and Peaches Christ. Welcome back, everyone. Today we're in the presence of royalty. 3 queens that make me and Scott feel things in places we did not know we could. Scott, take the lead.
Indeed. So our 3 panels today, first and foremost, we have Peaches Christ, an inspired filmmaker, world-renowned drag artist, and underground cult leader living in San Francisco. We also have Trixie Mattel, the skinny legend and Barbie doll come to life that takes over the world with her music, comedy, and beauty products. And we also have Coco, the hostess considered with a little bit of something extra, that is a fundamentally amazing entertainer that has received worldwide acclaim and from her award-winning solo shows. Ladies, how are you doing today?
Excited.
Yes, and I'm Coco Peru, not just Coco. Coco Peru. Just so
Coco Peru. Know. I am so sorry, Coco Peru.
I love it when a show starts off with a correction.
I'm just gonna see. I'm going to see myself out. I'm just going to see myself out right now.
Well, now I'm doing really great because that was fierce. Yeah.
That was fierce. I just want to start the show. I want to set the tone.
Yeah.
You certainly set the tone now.
Yeah. I'm from New York.
Yeah, and truthfully, Coco's so iconic. I think anybody listening to this, even if we didn't say her name, people would know exactly who it is.
Yeah,
that is absolutely true.
What other Coco are you thinking about?
I don't know. I just have
Chanel.
Self-esteem.
Coco
Coco Chanel.
Yeah.
And I want your full name, Peaches. Is it Peaches Marie Christ? Or
it's actually my middle name is H. So
Peaches H Christ.
Yes.
Well, okay, so ladies, we do have some short questions to give you to help break the ice a little bit. So I'm going to start off with asking Peaches this one. Peaches, name 3 politicians you would exile to Mars right now if you could.
Oh, God. Donald Trump, for sure. Although I would love to see him go to prison. But yeah, Donald Trump. Let's see. Oh my God, there's so many. Because I'm thinking about the whole world at this point. Can I do international?
Name them all.
Just
go for it. Go ham. Absolutely.
I would do Erdogan from Turkey. Send him to Mars. And oh God, there's so many monsters. Who else? Well, I would do Mitch McConnell because I just hate him so much.
Oh, thank God.
Fierce.
Yeah. I'm okay with that. Okay. So Trixie, what's a skill you learned in 2020 specifically that you never expected that you would ever need?
Cooking. No. Well, when COVID first started, I was so deathly afraid of even Postmates. So probably for the first 6 months, I probably made everything every day. And I used to never cook at all. And now I love it. So
what's your favorite thing to cook right now?
I'm so basic. I love like sauteed asparagus with baked Brussels sprouts and mashed potatoes with very little seasoning. I just love bland food.
Nice.
I kind of warmed up with no seasoning. Love it.
Thank you for elaborating on that question because I heard cocaine.
That's cocaine, Peru. Thank you.
All right. And then the Miss Coco Peru almighty. The world is magically vaccinated tomorrow. Where's the very first place you'll go?
Spain.
Ooh, where in Spain?
To the southern part of Spain in Andalusia.
Nice. I like that. It's special memories or just somewhere you've always wanted to go?
No, my husband's from Spain and we own an apartment there.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. Huh. Okay, more than know. So, Peaches, one last question for you in this little icebreaker session. What's one vice you picked up this year with the lockdown that you'll have a tough time kicking, even if you wanted to kick it?
Well, I would love to talk about my grotesque overeating, but that's not new. Unfortunately,
let us talk about it, Peaches.
Yeah, you know what? Let's talk about the crystal then.
But yeah, as far as a new vice goes that I've picked up, I mean, honestly, I hate to piggyback on Trixie's answer, but I never ever cook, and I am specifically, my cooking, my vice when it comes to cooking is slow cooking. I'm doing a lot of stuff in the crock pot, and I love making curries and chilies and stews, and so that's like a kind of a new hobby for me.
I love that.
I'm actually this Sunday. This is how boring my life is. This Sunday, I'm going to try a pot roast for the first time. Like, if you told me a year ago that I'd be excited about doing a pot roast, I would have thought, you're insane. But this is my life now.
I love that. I love that so much.
But unlike Trixie, I enjoy flavor.
Yeah, like my favorite Mexican food is like Chipotle. I like plain everything.
Yeah, when we lived together, I was always appalled by your diet because
you know what? I cleaned up my act a lot.
I was like,
Peaches would come downstairs.
Like, she eats like we live in a fraternity house or something. She'd be like, yeah, eating a spoonful of Skippy, like right out of the jar for breakfast.
Yeah, like sitting on the counter drinking milk from the jug.
Yeah.
Like, hey, girl.
It's true.
I love that so much. So you guys actually lived together for a while?
For like 16
summer.
Years. Oh.
No, we were Provincetown roommates. In a summer, and actually in a house that we found out later was next to a very famous murder house, like basically right next door to this place where a guy went on a crystal meth bender and killed. Well, actually, it was his apartment, and he had a trick over, and they had sex and did drugs for 3 days, and it ended with the trick dismembering him and cutting him up and locking him in a closet.
Can you believe that?
That is...
Sounds like a Tuesday in Sweden for me.
Yeah. Her name?
Yeah.
Katya Zamel. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so Trixie, would you ever run for political office? And if so, what would you run for?
I wouldn't run. I would love to do like, when you're the wife of someone who's political and you get to do fundraisers and like, I want to be sort of like the Tiffany Trump, but like for good, where I don't not really responsible for knowing too much, but I get to show up and help raise money and help people.
Just look gorgeous and socialize.
Yeah, I just want to have like long blonde hair and hug people without actually touching.
The good old air hug where you just kind of like, just get within like a foot of each other and that's about it.
Yeah. That's
okay.
my vibe.
I love that. I love it. I love it. I love it. And then Miss Coco Peru, if you could instantly become amazing at any one talent or skill, what would it be?
Well, I just became amazing at a talent. During that long story Peaches told, I actually went to Spain and came back.
Oh my God. It wasn't that long.
I'm kidding.
Give me a break.
I'm just joking. But I want to change my answer. I said I wanted to go to Spain. No, actually, where I would go first, I would love to go visit my mother, Helen, in Florida, because I haven't seen her in so long. So that's where I would go first. And then from Miami, I would leave over to Spain. That's how I would do it. And what amazing talent would I have?
Yeah, if you could learn one instantly, no work involved, you just automatically had it.
Oh, I would love to speak several languages.
Okay. What would be the first language you want to have?
I'm embarrassed to say Spanish, and my husband is a Spanish professor. We've been together 25 years, and I don't know it.
Oh,
it's pathetic.
What a waste.
Your
Is that
husband's a Spanish
Trixie?
professor. Yeah. I mean, okay. Yeah. In the time it took me to tell my story, it's too bad you didn't study Spanish. Because you live in Spain.
Oh my God.
Hey, listen, I can get by, but I mean, to really get into a deep conversation, it's not easy. I can shop for food, and I can even cook it, unlike the two of you.
I mean, the people of Spain have truly been spared that you can't speak to them.
That is 100% accurate. Can you believe? I know they probably. Yes, you're absolutely right. They have.
Does your husband ever like? Does he do the translation for you, or in the beginning was he ever like, "Come on, you gotta do it. You gotta learn it."
Yes, he does. And one time I wanted to order tea, and he said, "You need to go up and ask for the tea yourself." And the word for tea is té. So I go up to the girl and I said, un té, por favor. She looks at me like, what? You know, with that face. I said, un té. And literally, she just starts picking up various objects and showing them, like, is this what you mean? So finally, I turned to my husband. I said, what? You do it. And he gets up and says, un té, por favor. And she's like, oh, a tea. And she pours the fucking tea. I thought my head was,
God.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's the New York accent or what, but it's just never successccessful. So I always
maybe she was homophobic. She was like, "What?
Yeah,
what do you mean?"
Exactly.
We're not going to keep you on the thread, Coco, because I wanted to ask you something. And since launching your web show, Casa Coco, this year, how have your interactions with your audience changed during COVID-19? I know we've touched on this a little bit before. Is this online format you'd like to develop further post-COVID, or is this something that you might not be as comfortable with?
It's uncomfortable because I think Peaches and Trixie agree that there's nothing like being in front of that live audience and creating that intimacy, hearing the laughs. So it's been very strange to look into a camera and see yourself on the screen and just sort of try to picture where the laughs are and kind of try to pretend you're looking into an audience and looking in their faces. And so I love that, and that's what I want again. But in the meantime, being able to do these shows and get the feedback from people on Instagram and whatnot and read their comments and see how much it means to them, I find comfort in that. I feel like, well, okay, I'm doing something that matters for people. But I look forward to being in the theater again. Although, as I said earlier before the show, I'll probably be sitting for the rest of the shows from now on. I'm sorry,
or laying down even.
Or laying down, yes.
Just get a good beanbag chair, just a beanbag chair for the win.
So Trixie, now that you've stolen Lana Del Rey's career with video games, I wanted to ask you, between your music, web show with Katya, the book, and Trixie Cosmetics, which project has been most satisfying for you to do this year? And will we ever see a cover album in the future?
My favorite thing to do is, I'm with Coco. I really miss real people. I would rather bomb in front of real people than have a great show alone in my house for no one. Do you know what I mean? It's just the energy's not there. But I really like doing YouTube. It's been like the sleeper hit of COVID is like having all this time to sit home and make videos. I would have never been able to do all that if I was gone. So I'm not saying I'm happy that COVID happened, but like it's a whole different creativity of like sitting here alone in my house talking to myself, making videos, and then the editing and the comedy of it. Like I love doing that. And as far as a cover record, you never know.
I gotta say,
also, could you believe Lana Del Rey? Video games charted, and I couldn't believe she didn't say anything. I don't need her to validate me, but I couldn't believe she didn't say anything.
Oh, she never did?
No, which I thought was such a gag.
That's weird.
If you wrote it, even if you hated what I did with it, wouldn't you say cool to have my 12-year-old song chart again,
Yeah.
So
I do find that weird. And I actually loved your version.
No,
I
mean, that's weird because it's a great song. You did a great job.
Yeah.
You guys both text me individually that you loved it, so I really appreciate that. And it's also different enough that if you were her, wouldn't you maybe hear it and go like, wow, I would have never thought of it this way. Totally. But anyway, I mean, she's not exactly like at Pride's twirling.
Well, that's
and she definitely makes, I mean, I think I'm a big fan of hers, but I also feel like she makes bizarre decisions. Like I love her songs. I love her art and the drama and the, you know, all of the style, but then she'll do things like, you know, show up at a signing with a mask, you know, that's made out of fishnet or whatever. It's like, what are you doing? Like at a time when this is like what Trump supporters are doing, you know? So I don't know. I think she kind of is out to lunch a little bit, but maybe that's all part of the act, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I love her songwriting. Like I wouldn't say she's my favorite singer. But I think the way she writes her music is just so cool. Yeah. I think she gets a little too drummed up as like this. If people didn't act like she was like the Beatles, people wouldn't be so critical of her. Her fans act like she's Beyonce, and so people who are lukewarm on her are like, she's not that great. But if people just moderately appreciated her, I think she would have a better, like, people could generally agree like, oh yeah, that's at least a cool sound I haven't heard before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So Peaches, one thing I learned about you from having you on last time is your passion for social justice, and you've been very vocal about everything surrounding this situation with Trump and the current political situation and the Black Lives Movement and everything in between. Have you ever, or do you intend on expanding your productions into areas like political satire?
I guess I would say that none of it feels new to me. It just feels like this year in particular, and maybe like everyone else, I've had a lot more time on my hands. And because we're in this crazy situation with a global pandemic and an insane reality star running the country, on top of on top of, you know, fires raging in California, climate change just, you know, being completely out of control, and then the public execution and murder of George Floyd, you know, it's like it was just too much, you know. It's like you know, for many years I felt like as Peaches Christ, I was just such a clown and, you know, kind of punk rock and pissed people off and named myself after Jesus, that I didn't want to stand up for anything I believed in because I didn't want to do a disservice to the cause. But now, you know, that I'm older and, you know, maybe feel more established or accepted by, you know, places like the San Francisco Symphony or whatever, I think it's like my duty to speak out, you know, when stuff feels wrong or there's injustice. So yeah, I would say that my shows already have those messages in them. But maybe if you weren't coming to my shows, it might have been a surprise to see me be as outspoken as I was.
Yeah. I mean, I sadly haven't had the opportunity to be exposed.
Rude.
Yeah.
Called out.
Totally. Why haven't you bought a flight from Sweden to come see me?
I would just get rid of COVID and Trump, and I'll be there. I promise. I'll be right in your lap.
Okay, perfect.
So, Coco, something that I've been excited to ask you about is also about the upcoming animated comedy series Dead Endia, which will be launching next year on Netflix, I believe. Is there anything you can tell us about the project yet and your character Pauline Phoenix?
Just play a character that owns a theme park that's haunted. And what is exciting to me about this project is that the guy who wrote it, Hamish Steele, is gay. And when he went in to pitch the show, he was nervous. This is sort of based on a conversation I had with him, but that when he got to the part that he thought they were going to probably say, oh, we're going to have to change that, which was that the main character is trans, they said, no, that's the kind of stuff we're looking for now. And I just found that so inspiring, because when I created Coco Peru, that was kind of the vision I had in my head, that we needed to be on television. We needed to be have our stories be told, and in all sorts of different ways, and unapologetically. And I feel like he's doing that with this animated series.
Yeah. Is there anything that you can tell us about the premise, or anything about your character that you're excited about? Any aspects of her?
Just that she's evil and
Right.
dead.
And dead.
Evil and undead.
I didn't know that was the premise of the show, is that it's a haunted theme park. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's a haunted theme park.
I'm obsessed with that.
These kids work at, and it's demons and all sorts of different worlds fighting each other, and these kids are trying to keep it together. So yeah, and there's a talking dog and a little demon, and it's just bizarre. And then there's this love story between this trans boy and another guy, and it's just lovely.
And you play
I like that there's that kind of representation.
Yeah.
Peaches, you ever get into that spooky shit?
Yeah, I love it.
Oh man, Peaches, I can't wait for you to be able to do your haunted houses again. Those are spectacular.
Oh, thank you.
Peaches, didn't you do a production? Didn't you do a production with wait, I saw you in 5 to 9, which had a Trump figure in it.
Yeah, that's right. We did like a 9 to 5, as if the office workers were working in the Oval Office. So yeah, but I can't take credit for writing that. That was Ryan Landry. I was merely in it,
right?
Stealing the show, as they say.
No, we saw what you did.
Oh my God.
Well, I was there.
All right, Trixie, about your unique relationship to Katya, I wanted to ask you how this friendship has evolved over the years. And is your relationship strictly about work, or is she someone you'd call when you have a bad day and for the sake of your own well-being, not to take any advice from?
It is nice to have a sounding board for, there are some things in our industry that you can't complain about without seeming ungrateful. So, sometimes it's nice to have one person I can express not wanting to do something, when I know that a lot of people will be like, bitch, get real. That's a wonderful opportunity. But some days you just don't feel like doing certain things. And I just need to complain and say it out loud. And then I'm over it and I'm back. But we're also like, I don't feel bad about it. We're extremely separate people. We never tour together. We barely hang out. And honestly, it's because we're between the podcast, Queens Who Like to Watch on Netflix, and we see each other a couple times a week, usually no matter what. So I think in the interest of keeping what's on camera really fizzy and kind of alive, we keep a very healthy distance. That way, when we see each other, it's very cameras are there, but we also just want to talk. And we found that when we're together a lot, sometimes on set, on camera, it becomes a little bit more heavy lifting versus when we're just excited to talk. So we're the fakest best friends in the world. We fully never see each other. If we didn't get paid to see each other, we always, because we're both also loners. Yeah. Our dream night is at home alone, separate, not speaking to anyone. So we bond in that we're are you cool? Yeah, I'm cool. See you in 10 days. That's the perfect friendship for me, is somebody I don't need to talk to.
That's pretty cool.
Which is why living with Peaches was smothering, honestly. It's
oh my
God. So then I have to ask both Coco Peru and Peaches Christ. I'm gonna say both of your full names now because I'm terrified of being called out. How do you conduct your friendships? Are you similar, or are you sort of you're in it and you're steeped in it and you're with your bestie, you're talking day in and day out about everything?
You mean speaking to Peaches, or any friend?
Any friend in general.
No, I don't have those kind of friendships where I have to speak to. I have my husband, so he's my sounding board. But what Trixie said about being able to just speak it, even though, it might seem immature or whatever, that really is.
I didn't use that word. I didn't use that word.
Okay, well, we were thinking it. But that's what my husband does for me. But I definitely like getting on the phone and being able to, and especially with Peaches, to gossip and to laugh and say what we feel like saying. And it's so refreshing to have a friend like that you you could just say anything. And I think that's the wonderful thing about drag and having drag sisters as well, is that there's just this understanding of what we all go through. And I don't know, I love being able to pick up the phone and call Peaches or any of my other drag sisters and just have a go at it with them.
Yeah, sometimes it's like we might not see each other for months and months and months, and then when we do see each other, I think sometimes with drag queens, it's like you've been talking the whole time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's an understanding.
Has there been anyone
I love that
you guys have been in contact with more than the other to just cope with the whole COVID situation?
Oh yeah. I to echo what Coco and Trixie said, I totally agree. And I think one thing, and I don't know if this is true for everyone, but it does seem like it's true for the three of us. I think people assume that we probably have these bigger, active, sort of social lives and fabulous kind of, offstage personas and, big stuff. But I prefer to just be at home and with my partner. And I don't really socialize that much, or I kind of keep an intimate group of friends, and also find that I tend to be the most social with people I'm working with. So it's like whoever I'm working with on whatever particular project, that tends to be my social life. So with COVID, with work, it's been really strange. And Coco and I probably talk. I mean, Coco's one of the people I probably talk to the most, and usually it's to talk shit about other queens.
Peaches gossiping.
I couldn't
imagine.
I'm starting to resent that implication, like that people, all the drag queens love to be, Peaches is such a gossip. It's like, but who am I gossiping with, you cunts? All of you. Like, please. I'm not gossiping to the wall,
But you would. If you had to.
I would.
If we weren't around, if you were alone, if you were doing COVID by yourself, I swear to God, you would turn to an armchair and be like, "Girl, did you hear about this thing?"
I'd start to talk to a doll or something. Yeah, I'd have to get a dog.
But we love it.
But I'm curious, Peaches. Do you have like any? With the current situation with COVID, do you have like any future shows that you created in your mind that you've already brainstormed a concept or for an idea of that you would be able to share with us that might take inspiration from what's been happening all through this year? Have you been able to reach that point, or have you had a more pessimistic mindset?
Oh, that's interesting. What ended up happening with COVID is I felt like I was on and I've talked with both Trixie and Coco about this. I was on such a hamster wheel of creating a show, touring a show, and while I'm touring with that show, creating another show, and then booking. And I think part of it was just like, I don't know if I had a fear that it was going to go away, or that, I needed to ride this wave of having these opportunities, but I started kind of privately resenting it and not enjoying sort of, the work as much, and was starting to feel like overwhelmed by it. And so when COVID hit, I finally was able to like put the brakes, because I was forced to, on that hamster wheel. And what ended up happening was all these other projects that I had put on the back burner because I was doing theater so much, have come to the surface. So I've written a TV show with my friend Varla Jean Merman, and we're now finishing our pilot. We wrote a pilot, and Coco's read it, and we're starting to shop that around. And I created a drag docuseries that we're now pitching to networks. My friend Michael Verratti and I, and now I'm working on 2 horror movies, 2 horror screenplays. So for me, it's been just really exciting to get to do that kind of stuff. And honestly, and people might think this is weird, I haven't really thought much about the theater stuff. So I think partly it might be because I don't think I'll be back on stage. I don't believe we'll be back on stage in 2021. You know, I hate to say that. I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but
yeah.
Way to keep it positive.
Well, I think smaller cabaret spaces and maybe some outdoor stuff. But I think like the idea of packing 1,400 people into the Castro Theater, that isn't going to happen anytime soon. You know. So maybe it's a self-protection thing. I don't want to, it's almost like I don't want to look forward to it, and then be disappointed.
Yeah. No, I can appreciate that you're just being thoughtful of the realities of kind of the lives that we've been leading for the past 9 months now. But man, I just got to say it is such a treat to be at one of your shows with a whole bunch of other people and just watching all of it unfold. I think one of the first times I actually came to one of your shows, I was fortunate enough to actually see both you and Trixie on the stage together, and that was a pretty magical moment. So I can't wait for when things do get back to that place where that kind of a reality comes true again for your creative genius, and also a whole bunch of other wonderful people that you bring into your productions.
Oh, thank you so much. And the other thing to say is I have a list of shows that I've already Trixie and I have talked about, don't tell Trixie wants to call it something different, but I want to call it.
I wanted to call it Don't Tell Mom the Baby's Dead. But Peaches says maybe we should do like Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Gay.
Yeah,
maybe something a little more family friendly.
Yeah. So we got that show, and then I was supposed to do a show with Bianca over the summer that didn't happen. So it's not like I don't have shows in the waiting in the wings. I do. It's more like, I don't want to work on them too much because who knows when we'll get to do it. And I don't know about the other two, but I'm really they know me. I'm a sloppy mess who thrives on insanity and driving. So I need to know that tickets are on sale for me to write a show. That's like a big part of my motivation is like the stress and pressure of having to put a show together at the last minute.
You need that as a fuel, basically, to motivate yourself.
Yeah.
It's honestly those like anxiety. I'm sure Coco can agree with this. The Peaches shows are erected so quickly that it's almost that like anxiety hell week leading up to the show that makes the show so memorable. Like, honestly, like Troop Beverly Hills is probably one of the only things this year where we hit the anniversary of that and I was like, I miss performing. You know what I mean? Because the stakes are so high in those where you're like, you literally learned it that week.
Yeah, I had the same experience where I showed up to do my first Peaches show and thought, oh God, what have I got myself into? And then it turned into this like being away at camp and just having the best time with playing with people. And that's really what theater and just that live audience, it's just, you never felt so much love from all those people. Yeah. So it was a great experience.
Is there anything unique about if I talk to you, Coco and Trixie, which one out of Peach's work have been like really mind-blowing for you guys to participate in? Is there a moment that was amazing to you guys?
I've only participated in 2. And I can't choose which one I liked better because I loved both of them. But I will say this. When Peaches acknowledges everybody at the end of her show, to me, that's just really special that everybody gets acknowledged. And she says something beautiful about everybody. And I that's exactly what it sums up everything about what she's trying to do. It's just like a celebration.
Yeah, I've done just the 2, and I have not been asked back. But I did.
Most people only do 1.
Yeah, I did Trixie and Katya's high school reunion, which was, Peaches remembers. That was just like, I felt like we got that on its feet, and it was like standing, and it was good. But then Troop Beverly Hills, I think we got to be a little more idiotic in. Pretending to be outdoors, even.
Yeah.
Like, minimal sets, us being like, look at that tree. There's not a tree,
Well, I saw that. Like that. I saw that one, Trixie, and I called Peaches right away and I said, oh my God, Trixie is a star. Like,
She did.
wow.
She did.
I said she walked out on stage and you were seeing a star.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That made my day.
It's so true though. But I mean, I have to say, as someone who gets to work with people that I admire, it's like nothing brings me more joy than getting to see people I so admire and whose talents I so respect get to play on stage with me and my friends. And like, that is, you know, I mean, when Coco first came, I'd known Trixie actually since she was a wee child, and maybe I was less intimidated by Trixie because, you know, because well, you're very relaxed, right? Whereas Coco, you know, I grew up a fan of Coco Peru, you know, and I remember when I met Coco Peru and she said that, you know, she wondered why I hadn't asked her to be in any of my shows, or, you know, something along the lines of basically indicating that she would be in one. I couldn't believe it. You know, that seemed so shocking to me. And then when she showed up to do it, I was so nervous because, you know, she's such a pro. And now what I love is watching Coco unravel, you know, and go crazy, you know, before the show. Because it's so, you know, being in a Peaches show is so the opposite of what she normally does, which is to work solo, to have everything be perfect, to have every word, every intonation, like everything in a Coco Peru one woman show is just flawless. It's studied, it is rehearsed, it's workshopped, it's, you know, and Trixie is very much the same way, I have to say, is as far as queens that have, especially queens that have come off Drag Race, and getting to live with Trixie and then work with Trixie so much, like both these performers are perfectionists, you know, perfectionists who workshop their jokes, their comedy, their timing, and then they show up to a Peaches show and it's a free for all, quite frankly. You know, it's a you know, and that's what people love about it. You know, it's a giant kind of chaotic free for all. But I do kind of like personally getting to watch them sort of, you know, kind of swim in those waters.
Well, I loved that my husband went to Peaches and acknowledged just how crazy I am, because he loves Peaches and her husband Nihat so much. He wanted me to be invited back, so he was afraid that I was screwing everything up with my craziness. So,
oh my gosh!
Anyway.
So since each of you have been on stage so much, like, do each of you have like those, like a formative story of like stage fright and sort of like how it maybe got to you and was like a moment of learning that you kind of took with you moving forward, or were you just always flawless from day one the moment you hit the stage?
I can just quickly say that I to this day have terrible stage fright, and I've said this before. I feel blessed that I have the ability to push forward through that, because I think it's like stepping off a cliff. And then once you're in that moment, that's kind of when the magic happens. But I still suffer terribly from stage fright. But what I will say is I never will allow myself to walk out on stage with a script. Even if I'm not completely 100% sure of what's happening, I feel like the audience deserves your vulnerability and your being present. And if I fuck up, they deserve to see me recover from that in any which way I can. And so I feel like every time I say to Raphael, "Oh God, I'm so nervous," he goes, "That's a good thing." So I think it helps us in some way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
And it shows that we care.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like
Peaches,
did we lose you? Someone murdered her.
I asked the hitman to come after the call. I'm so sorry.
Did I disappear?
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah, you did disappear for a second.
Oh my God, that was so. I got so excited that I jerked my head hard enough that it pulled the plug. It pulled the plug out of my headset.
I was just about to say it sounded like she moved a little bit, and then something got unplugged. Yeah,
yeah. It was
not
that's
you
so
getting so excited by the question that you jacked your head to the left. And like...
Well, I love relatable content, and I was just what I was saying is I feel like if I'm not nervous, or I don't have a little bit of butterflies or some stage fright, and a lot of times I have a lot. But if I'm not, even with the show I've done a lot, then I know that it's a bad sign. Like that's when I know. Oh, and oftentimes the lack of nervousness is directly related to how much I care about something. So, yeah, if I'm not nervous at all, it means I don't care. And there've been a few of those gigs, where a producer or someone alienates you before you go on. You know what I mean? Like, and often, or a corporate event or something where you're just like, God, I don't give a shit, and I get mad at myself even then, because it's not fair to whoever is in the audience that might be interested,
Yeah, honestly, it takes a Peaches style show where you're not as prepared to remind you that, like, okay, if you trust your character and you trust yourself, truthfully, you could forget all of it and have a great show. And you get reminded of that when you're like, wow, we have 3 days to put this together. I would say that I'm guilty of sometimes in stand-up, if I don't go up there with enough like steamrolling confidence, that if I don't get the laughs I want in the first 10 minutes, I sometimes will let the audience kind of set the tone. And I'll sometimes get bratty and be like, well, if they're not laughing, we're just going to get through. You know what I mean? And sometimes I've been in shows where they're not laughing at first and then I win them over. So I don't know why sometimes when that doesn't start off super strong, it's so much harder to like, kind of like jump roping, like get back into the rhythm. It's so much easier to just never recover sometimes.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm always living in fear of that.
I think
once it happens,
we've all
it's so
had
hard.
those shows. We've all
It's
had
hard.
those shows. Yeah.
And you know what? Sometimes those shows, the next day you're like, that was awful. And somebody you trust was there and was like, are you kidding? It was the same as we didn't notice.
Yeah.
Right.
Peaches was at one of my shows in P-Town that was like that. I just felt like that was the worst show I've ever done. No one laughed. Yeah. And then everybody said nice things afterwards. They laughed.
Well, I didn't know that I had no idea that she was feeling that way. And yeah, I mean, my favorite example of that is I used to spend so much time like doing my makeup. And then one time it took me like an hour to do it because I was running late. And I kept complaining to everybody, namely Kenny. We all know Kenny, Jinx is Kenny. And Kenny was like, look, I would never have known this took you any less time. And I remember being like, wait, you mean all that obsessing and going crazy over, my shitty makeup doesn't matter? You mean I could just do it and not, tweak out on things? And I feel like that sometimes that way with shows where, if you just relax and kind of go with the flow and stay in the moment, the audience will appreciate, whatever happens.
Totally. Honestly, those P-Town size venues too, where it's, I would say 1 to 300, that is the size audience where it can derail very quickly because there's not like a cushion of a few hundred people in the front laughing at everything. And if they're not laughing, you can feel it and you can see the pupils of their eyes. And you're like, you either leave at those size venues, you either leave the show being like, I'm a fucking star, or you leave the show being like, so we're quitting.
It's true.
It's so true. And then you throw a bridal party into it and you're just really doomed.
The thing about that though is, and this goes to what Coco said earlier, is we're having that experience, the experience that Trixie's describing, but the audience honestly is having a different experience. And so sometimes what I've noticed, I almost feel like we all need to hire a laugher, someone to sit in the audience and teach, set the tone. And I have had friends like, Nihat is not a laugher. He's very much quiet and will sit there and not laugh. But I have had friends where I'm like, you saved the show because they broke the laughter ice, in the first 10 minutes. And once someone breaks that laughter ice, but if they don't, it doesn't mean that the audience isn't enjoying it or that they don't think it's funny. It means that the performers are fucked because we're getting silence, because someone has set the code of conduct in the first 10 minutes to be more of a quiet show. And that is the worst for us.
Right. And ultimately it is, I think, I can't speak for you ladies, but I always think the next day in the clarity of like thinking about it, I'm always like, they didn't laugh, but it was my fault for letting it kill my momentum and then getting him, you know what I mean? Because I've had shows where they don't laugh and then I get a case of the fuckets and it turns into the best show ever.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's true. I one time did a show And before I went on, it was an Easter Sunday, and I thought, like, how many people are going to come to this? And then when I asked, I was even shocked. I had 6 people in my audience, and it was so ridiculous to hear them say 6 people that I just thought, fuck it. And I went out there and had one of my best shows ever.
Totally.
With those 6 people. They were hysterically laughing. I was so on. And it was really just because I didn't care, because I thought, it's just 6 people. Fuck it. And I ended up like, I will always remember that show.
Totally.
Yeah, I guess that's the struggle of balancing. I mean, in a way, it's beautiful that you guys share the same experiences, and it's about balancing your expectations and fears with whoever is presented in front of you.
I was just going to say, sometimes you have to get your ego out of the way. And I one time was in Puerto Vallarta, and the first show I'd done was sold out, and they said, well, you're going to do great from here on in. So I showed up the next night, like, ready for another sold out show, and they were like, there's 12 people, and then they sold about up to 21 by the time I was ready to go on. They said, do you want to cancel? And I said, no. 21 people showed up. I'll give them a show. So I went out and did it. And then afterwards, this young girl came up to me and she said, my parents told me I could go anywhere for my birthday, and I chose here because I wanted to see your show. And I thought, oh my God, thank God I didn't cancel that show. So I always try to keep that in mind too. You never know who's in your audience who really needs to see you, or that your words, or whatever you have to offer. You never know who's there to see you. And that
young girl's name, Michelle Obama. No, it was Amy Schumer, and she said, "I'll start comedy now." Yeah,
exactly.
I was thinking, before we head over to the next segment, I want to ask you guys a little bit more of a serious question. How has this year changed you as an individual? And we can start with you, Coco.
When I would be out on tour and going from one city to another, carrying heavy suitcases and complaining, I always told people that because like Peaches said earlier, people ask, well, what do you do during your spare time when you're off? And I would always tell people my luxury is sitting at home on my couch. And now that is not such a luxury anymore. And I feel like I can't believe I complained so much when I was out on the road, and it would be great to be out there again. So I learned that. And the other thing I learned was when I was doing my Coco Thoughts while in solitude, as Peaches said earlier, I always want everything to be perfect. And I set up a challenge for myself that I would turn on the camera and just speak from my heart. And whatever came out is what I was going to put on YouTube, and that would be good enough. And I was nervous doing it, but I did it. And then the response I got from people showed me that it's okay. Not everything has to be perfect all of the time. Maybe just showing up and doing, just showing up sometimes is enough. And so I learned that as well, not to be so controlling, and to let go a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's healthy. Those monologues did. I listened to those, Coco, and you brought me to tears a few times. And yeah, what you put out there, you don't always have to overthink everything. It doesn't always have to be perfect to touch people.
Right.
What about you, Trixie?
I guess on one hand, I'm with Coco. Like, I really miss touring. Like, I'll text my band at 1 a.m. and be like, do you remember touring? And they're like, I can't. I miss it. I miss being so nervous. I miss being like a little over it sometimes before the show and having to psych myself into it. Like, I miss all of it. But I've probably been, I've been lucky enough to tour pretty much nonstop now since I was 25. So being home, this is the most I've been home in 6 years. I hadn't been home this long. And so it has made my eyes a little more open to, like, I don't know, maybe I need to invest more in my personal relationships, invest more in my boyfriend, my family. Maybe I need to sometimes, like, step back and go, like, do you need to do another tour right now immediately? finding a little more balance, because I really have been like, wow, like the last few years has been just like a blank. And it's a great blank. I'm proud that because what if I never get to tour again? Oh my God, I'm happy I did it for so long, or for a few years. But I guess it's just made me more aware of like, well, touring, I could snap my femur one day and not tour again and for a long time. And what else is really like important to me and engaging to me? Think about that stuff. Try to get more of a balance, because touring isn't this like given. So you can't wrap your whole life around this thing that apparently is so fleeting,
Well, it's funny because Trixie and I actually just had like this talk basically kind of a week ago, and I would echo so much of what she's saying and what Coco's saying. And also, I think another thing that's been kind of good in a sort of existential way is like, oh, the world is on fire. Things are shitty. Things are horrible, but I'm alive. And today I'm surrounded by love. And these are the people that I care about. And I have great friendships, and I have, a roof over my head, and I'm able to, afford, my, whatever, my basic needs are being met. And I think in that way, with everything that's gone on this year, what's important to me are friends, family, like, mental health, taking care of like, it's cheesy to say, but a lot of stuff that I thought was so important before is kind of slipped down the list. And, maybe seems a little more superficial to me now. Like, I'm just excited to be, able to be creative and, spend, what I'm really looking forward to when this is all over is like being able to just be with my friends again, be in the same room with people. What I miss so much about performing, as much as it's the energy and the audience, it's, for me, so much of it's the familial camaraderie of like getting to like go places with Trixie or Coco, and like, that's actually how we get to spend time together. And I miss that. I miss them in that so much. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing those thoughts, guys. I think that's a great thing for everyone to hear as well.
Cross-dressers who are mad that they're at home. That's the time.
If you want to put it that way.
As the oldest queen here, I will say I feel terrible for these young queens and performers or whatever who are just starting their careers, and something like this happening. As an older queen, I feel like, well, thank God I experienced so much on so many levels of what I wanted to do and around the world in different venues. And I feel badly for young people who were, starting and something like this happens.
Yeah.
Well, that last season of Drag Race, really, those queens got super fucked.
Yeah,
I mean,
horrible.
It's like you kind of win the lotto of drag these days, which is this amazing opportunity to be on this hugely popular, Emmy award-winning, massively successful TV show with a sexual predator who kind of derails the launch of everything, and then when it's time for you to go on all your world tours.
God.
There's a global pandemic, so I do feel bad for those girls.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, do you remember us thinking that oh my God, I can't even remember her name, the sexual predator? Do you remember us thinking that was the worst? Remember thinking that was the worst thing that would happen?
We were like,
this ruined their season.
Yeah. No,
but honestly, I think a lot drag queens are really scrappy though, and touring for a living, honestly, realistically, wasn't in the cards for a lot of those people anyway. Like, if we're just being real, not everybody's gonna have a touring career. So the ones who survive are gonna be the ones who, in true drag queen fashion, we always find a way.
Yeah, that's true.
And to reach the audience. And it's just drag queens, we work really well in like parameters. We already can't go to the store and buy clothes. Like,
that's true.
We have all kinds of restrictions.
It was drag queens. It was literally drag queens and recovery people who found the internet immediately to be sure that their shows and their meetings did not stop happening. And then
that support network.
And then it was like the rest of the world caught up. So I remember when the weekend that we shut down, drag queens being like, okay, well, our show that would have been at such and such club will be online, like immediately. So they find a way.
And we love that resiliency. Yeah. So I'm going to transition just over to our first ever segment. We want to make this a recurring segment. So thank you for kind of suffering through this little beta version with us. But it's going to be called the Absurdisms, where we ask you guys some interesting prompts and we just want absurd answers only. So I hope that you guys are ready to flex your creativity muscles with some of these ridiculous moments. So the first question I would like everyone to, again, chime in on, and just whomever feels comfortable answering first, just get it in there. But what is, in your opinion, Melania Trump's best feature?
Her eyes, right? That beautiful blue color.
Fair enough.
If we're being honest and not funny, like, I think she has beautiful eyes.
Yeah. She does have beautiful eyes. That is true.
And she has a great posture. She walks really tall. Like, my mother was always like hitting me on the back, reminding me about my posture. So I always notice people's postures. Was that
she does have like that. Yeah.
Peaches, would you like to say something nice?
Well, I like her. I like her first name. I think it's I think it's a cool first name, but she's kind of turned it to
not
shit.
A fan of the last name.
No, I hate the last name.
No,
it's hard to say something nice about her.
It really is.
Yeah.
She's kind of like, if you think of America and what we're obsessed with, which is fame and beauty, she is sort of the Real Housewives first lady we've been manifesting, but in like all the wrong ways.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she is kind of what we asked for and what we deserve.
Although I have to say, I didn't ask for her because I don't watch all that shit.
I didn't ask for her either. But like, imagine if she was a great person. We would be like, this bitch is fierce. She's a philanthropist. She looks great. Like physical beauty aside, if that was attached to something good, we would love it.
She would be Michelle Obama. Like, she would be our Michelle Obama.
100%. Who got her start at a Coco Peru show.
I hate you.
Oh God. All right. Next question. If you could be a career counselor for Ivanka Trump, what would you advise for her next job to be?
Oh my God. You are really...
Crisis
counselor.
Hard.
Her next job.
Women's shelter. Volunteering at a women's shelter.
I once saw an elephant take a shit at a circus, and I couldn't believe the size of that. I was a little kid, and it looked like all I remember was it looked like when I would go to my aunt's Italian restaurant, and the giant cans of tomato sauce. It was like that big, and I think she should be assigned to have to follow elephants around and clean up their shit.
Oh my God.
Right?
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go dark and say she should be in charge of basically right now and for the foreseeable future. They're having a real problem with figuring out where to put and move all the corpses of people who've passed from COVID. And I think she should take that on, and she should be in charge of dealing with the dead bodies that are piling up, in cities all over the country.
I mean,
or it'd be fierce if she got, I would love it if she did like a Mommy Dearest, like tell-all book talking about like his little, like his, I don't know, awful, like, give us the tea, girl. Talk about how awful you were and how complicit you were, and then give us all the tea about how
she should be given a truth serum, and then
yes, give her the truth serum.
Yeah,
but she should only write that if it's while she's in prison.
Well, like, she just posted this video of her showing off the Christmas decorations, and I'm like, we didn't forget that you fucking said you hate Christmas. Like,
well, that's Melania.
Yeah.
So Ivanka, I feel like in many ways Ivanka is, well, from what the insiders say, she's the only child that actually has her father's ear. He actually openly resents and hates the other ones. But she's more of a wicked witch than I think a lot of people want to admit.
What a dumb whore. People
Yeah.
and people, the conservatives love to be like, she's gonna run someday. I'm like, from the police, like
Yeah.
So she'll be a professional law enforcement avoider because of her all of her implications here.
trash, just trash.
Okay, so next question for you, ladies. What's the most absurd product shortage you've seen this year during the pandemic?
Oh, rubbing 99% isopropyl alcohol for cleaning wig lace. People were buying it to use as sanitizer, and I'm like, some of us have real. We need this. Like, that sucks.
Oh my god!
I came back from tour totally out of rubbing alcohol, and I couldn't get it.
Funny. That is hilarious.
Like, it was annoying. So now when it became available, I snapped. I bought like jugs of it.
Oh my god, that is so funny.
Because you can't clean a wig without it.
No, that's true, but that's I wouldn't know because I don't clean them. But I suppose if you invest that kind of energy into your wigs,
If I don't do it, Bianca will comment on my pictures, be like, "Nice lace." You know what I mean? I have to.
It's true.
She'll be like, "Are you wearing a brown headband?"
That is funny. Yeah, I mean, what else have there been shortages of? Obviously, toilet paper. I don't want to say that because that's too obvious.
Compassion.
That's deep, Trixie. Right? So genuine.
Yeah, really. There's been a shortage of what else? Republican responsibility. No one's actually done anything when they have the opportunity.
Very true.
Like it's like dudes, because most of them are men. You have the opportunity to distance yourself from this situation. I'm shocked that more of them didn't. They really just.
Yeah, they kept leaning in even harder with Trump and all that nonsense. You're like, are you psychotic?
That
you do see the writing on the wall, right?
I don't think they do. I guess I don't think that, and then I start to ask myself, am I living in a delusion? Like, when like the way I look at it is we're on the right side of history and you old assholes are going to be voted out. You have an opportunity to, stand up and speak out, but very few of them did. Almost none of them.
Yeah, I had made the comment that it just amazes me that my drag queen friends have more integrity than people who are elected to represent us. So I really believe that. I just think drag queens have more integrity than our politicians nowadays.
Even like I wasn't. My thing was always I'm gonna register people to vote, but I'm never gonna really say much about. I'm just gonna provide escapism content. And honestly, in 2020, this was the year where I looked because I was always afraid to look too closely at the structure and the system. And now that I've looked the way I have, I could never look away. Like I'll never not be engaged in this. And it's sad to watch these people. Like, why are some of these people serving for life, period? Why can you serve for life in anything? Why do you have to be 35 to run for president, which, let's be honest, means 50? Because if you run at 40, people say you're young. So let's just say what it is. You can't really run unless you're like a 50-plus-year-old, at least fake Christian. Like, what are we? And it's been a wild year, girl. I can't.
Also, it's amazing to me that we can watch the news and listen to doctors and nurses begging us to wear masks, telling us what they're dealing with, and that they're feeling disrespected, and people will still choose not to wear a mask. Is just.
I think the worst line that I hear with a lot of conservatives is when they are trying to get away with not wearing a mask in the store or in some social area, and they just say, "I want to breathe O2, not CO2," and you're just like, "Are you kidding me?" Like, are just the lack of understanding of basic science, in addition to like the most like pathetic argument for why they shouldn't have to be wearing a mask that does the fundamental element of protecting us all at the same time. It blows my mind.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Well, one of the great gifts of being a drag performer who's gotten to the point where we're able to travel internationally, which I do think is such a blessing and such a great, maybe the thing I'm the most grateful for is that when you leave this country and we're all brainwashed to grow up believing the United States is the best country in the world. We're the most powerful. We do everything right. We're the best. We all are indoctrinated, that way by society here. You realize, traveling in different places, like we're fucking shit. We're a mess and our education is in the toilet. People are stupid here. There's no actual real loyalty to anything. There's terrible leadership. All of these things kind of come crashing home when you actually get to go places and see where normal countries do things in a reasonable, normal way. And so I feel like with young people these days, it's like, fuck college. Don't bother going to college. Like, it's a waste of your money. Take all that money and go travel the world, because you're going to get a much better education and a lot more empathy. I feel like this country is so inherently broken. It's up to young people to like really, change it. And I know I sound crazy, and I'm probably going to turn into some crazy old progressive, fucking.
We're going to become Lady Bunny.
That's what I was going to say. I'll kill myself. Oh my God.
We're going to be cold calling people.
We are
being like,
I know. I feel like every day I'm edging closer to becoming her. It's terrifying.
I know.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that, but I do think that young people, because of the internet, are in a much better position to enact real change. It's young people who created the, social justice warrior. I'm sorry, this Justice Democrats, and it's young people who elected AOC, and it's young people who are pushing a truly progressive, they want to abolish college tuition. They want universal health care. They want, and they don't see it as, radical. Like it's funny to me that older people, they really see that as like, that's radical socialism. It's like, what are you talking about? It's actually just normal, the way most modern countries do things.
Yeah, that's where I feel, coming from an outside perspective, when I look at these arguments regarding college and healthcare in the US, that like, are you serious? These are things that every single modernized, industrialized country does.
Yeah,
you do provide universal healthcare and all of these things, and the state pays you for college here. I mean, to us it's insane that that's considered communist, basically.
Girl, yeah. And yeah, even communist or socialist, it's like, Wisconsin finally swung back blue, and I was home when it happened in Wisconsin, and I think of like the bucktooth trash I went to high school with, and I'm like, I'm afraid of socialism. I'm like, you're in the financial bracket that would benefit. You wish we had socialism, so your fucking 12 kids can go to school and have fucking all their teeth in their head still and go to the doctor. Like, the people who are so afraid at the bottom, like, you think of all rich people being Republican, and you're like, well, who are these poor trash who are voting against their own low-income home? Like, what is wrong with you?
I mean, come to Sweden. We have free dental care until the age of 23.
Yeah, it's amazing.
We will.
But I was thinking we would go over to the next question, and that's, I'm going to ask you guys what the dumbest trend that 2020 has seen that we may unfortunately never lose.
I know a dumb trend that I like a little too much, and I'm ashamed to admit it, and it drives my partner Nihat crazy. I have really enjoyed looking at parents' reaction videos to the WAP song. I don't know why that brings me so much pleasure, but by the time she gets to park that big Mack truck in this little garage, that's usually the third layer of either turn it off, if they even get to that part. But yeah, for whatever reason, I love watching kids playing that song and filming their parents react to it.
I don't like all TikTok dancing. Any of it, all of it. I hate it.
TikTok dancing, yeah, I can appreciate that. Just needs to go. It just needs to go.
Like TikTok choreography, anything like that needs to stop.
Yeah, I have a little cousin that was doing that when we were visiting, and she was standing in front of the mirror and I was like, what is wrong with her? What is she doing? And they explained to me that she was doing TikToks, but she looks like an idiot just standing there. So it really bothered me.
How old is this cousin?
She was like, I don't know, 11 maybe.
Coco,
Yeah.
Coco Peru.
She sounds like an idiot.
Now,
Well, that is
thank
an
you.
idiot.
And I will say something that I follow that I absolutely love that other people think is weird. I follow something on Instagram called Kids Getting Hurt. And it's
I
just
love that account.
wonderful videos of young children falling and getting hurt, and it just makes
I
me
love
giggle.
it.
Gosh.
I very much share that passion with
It's
you.
fierce.
I need to follow that.
Yeah, I'm gonna be following that one soon too now. All right, next question. Okay, so this one will test your quick thinking on your feet. What is the best backhanded compliment you could give Joe Biden?
You beat Trump.
Oh my God.
Wow, you beat Trump. Something like that.
Yeah. God. I don't even know. Is it sad that I'm too grateful?
No.
No, that's fine. That's totally fine.
We're like, wow, you really got some of those hesitant racists to vote for you. Cheers.
Oh my God.
I don't have anything, sorry.
No, you're totally fine. It's totally fine.
Well, thank you for your approval.
Yes, Miss Coco Peru.
I'm
Yes,
totally
yes. Only
fine.
respect and deference.
Oh my God. All right, let's go to the next question. Wrong answers only. What is Melania's sexy pet name for Trump?
God. Ew.
Pudge.
Pudge.
You know, he makes her call him daddy.
Yeah, you know what? I want to say that you're wrong, but you might just be right.
No, for sure. She does like the pigtails thing.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Most likely.
I don't
See,
know.
Scott,
Oh my
it's not
gosh.
just me. I told you.
Okay, here's another disturbing one for you. So just be ready to get your gag reflex in check. We're gonna play the little mini game of marry, fuck, and kill. Now you have to choose each for the marry, fuck, kill format. So your options are Donald Trump, Rudy Giuliani, and Jabba the Hutt.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Wait, we have to marry one, kill one?
And have sex with the other.
one. You have sex with Jabba, right?
No, I would marry Jabba.
Oh yeah, marry Jabba.
And I
I
would
guess have sex with Donald Trump because Giuliani is fucking gross. I mean, they're both gross,
disgusting.
but
Yeah, that's really I can't even I don't know. I mean
yeah, I think I'd kill myself.
Fair enough. Okay.
there's a silver lining.
yeah. If that's an option,
Yeah, I kill Coco too if that's an
Oh
option.
my God.
we'd all kill Coco.
Coco Peru, Miss Trixie.
Sorry. So I would kill Coco Peru. Okay.
Oh geez. All right. Next question. Which album is most likely to define 2020 for future generations? Lady Gaga's Chromatica or Vampire Fitness by Katya Zamolotchkova?
Have you
I
guys
have
heard it?
and I love it. I can't stop listening to it.
Let's just say nothing has prepared you for hearing it. It's really, honestly, her album for sure.
I mean, you're putting us in a corner, right? Like because if we say, Lady Gaga, then we're betraying our sister. So I'm gonna say Katya.
I'm going for Katya too, because I just seeing her spin around with that head just.
Now I have a
gave me
question
life.
for Trixie Mattel.
What is that?
Trixie Mattel. Is Katya's Ding Dong song because of the lady on Glow?
Yeah.
I knew it.
That's
Like,
so great.
She really, musically, there's no wrong answer. Like, she was like, for Ding Dong, I have to have you write, 8 bars and then record it. And I was like, can I just talk? Can I just quote something from Silence of the Lambs? And she's like, sure.
Yeah, it's
Like,
so
there's really no
it's-
wrong answer.
because the lyrics don't relate to that lady, but like watching that show, I couldn't. Nihat and I discovered it, this past summer, like as we were running out of content, and like that woman saying "ding dong" is just the weirdest thing.
It's very weird, and we talk about it a lot in our Netflix show. It just there you go. I can't listen. I can't pretend to understand what goes on in her mind.
No, which is what makes her so wonderful. Well, what do you think? What do you think? I'm going to throw the question back at our hosts since they like asking us questions. Would you say it's going to be Lady Gaga, Chromatica, or the new Miley Cyrus album?
Oh,
that wins 5 years down the road.
Girl, Miley is coming through.
She's amazing.
Her
I actually thought
live performances have been amazing, so I'm actually going to say Miley.
Girl, it is
amazing.
It is so dangerous to try to do like Heart of Glass, like a Blondie song, and I love Blondie, and so I was ready to. Not gonna lie, I was ready to watch that and like, but I fucking loved it, dude.
It's shocking how good it is. Yeah,
and she's never looked better. I mean, let's be honest.
She does look good.
Hooker makeup is so good.
No, I'm living for her right now.
I have to say, all of her live performances that she's uploaded are fucking brilliant. So I changed my mind about Miley Cyrus in 1 second after watching those performances.
Yeah, she sang Hole on she was singing Miss Violet by Hole on Stern today.
Oh my god, I had to see that.
So she's continuing.
Oh, really?
Yes, icon. What a voice.
Yeah, truly.
I love her voice.
Yeah, she does have a gorgeous voice. Absolutely beautiful. I would say so. My Spotify 2020 Wrapped put me squarely within Lady Gaga's Chromatica, like vortex of listening nonstop. But definitely Katya, just because I just love how absurd she is. Like just the insanity and creativity. It's brilliance.
Okay, so I'll ask you guys an easy question, the hosts. Do you think 2020 has been more strongly defined by Katya or Trixie?
Scott, this is where we start cancel our show.
Oh my gosh, look at the time. It's time for us to go. Bye, everybody.
Good answer.
Good night.
That's an impossible question. It's Sophie's choice. Come on now.
All right.
Yeah. It's Sophie's choice. I've dedicated my entire year to producing consistent content, and she has smoked cigarettes and wrote 3 songs. You're right.
Oh my god.
You're right. You're 100% right. And we're out of time.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for answering all those wonderful questions in our first ever section of Absurdisms. So before we go, I definitely just wanted to say thank you so much for spending such a lovely amount of time with us talking about the year of hell that was 2020 and having some good laughs in the meantime. But before we completely sign off, want to give everyone a chance to say goodbye and also promotes their socials and any projects they're looking forward to that we could all know to look forward to. So let's go ahead and start off with Miss Coco Peru. Where can we find you and what are we looking forward to that we can be seeing in the near future?
Well, you can find me at cocobrew.com. You can look forward to Dead India, and I'll continue to do my Casa Cocos from home.
Wonderful. Thank you. And Peaches H. Christ, where can we find you and what can we look forward to?
Well, I'm on all of the social media platforms, and I am just now announcing that my final show of the year online will be Whatever Happened to Bianca Del Rio with Bianca and myself, and that's on December 19th and 20th, and tickets are at peacheschrist.live.
Wonderful. Thank you. And Trixie, where can people find you and what are you looking forward to?
Well, you can find me every single week on YouTube. I have my own channel where I have content every week. I have our season 5 of and I have our Netflix show Queens Who Like to Watch. And then you can shop cosmetics at trixiecosmetics.com. If you can read, you can check out Guide to Modern Womanhood. And if you like to listen to music, you can listen to Barbara.
I'm going to have to learn how to read.
You have to learn how to read. It'll be worth it.
Thank you.
Well, again, lovely panelists, thank you for being here. Everyone that's listening, stick around before we sign off. But again, thank you, everyone, and talk to you soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. answer your questions, Scott?
Yeah, we have, I think, pretty good set of questions here. The first one is from Adam. So thank you, Adam. The question is, though, you're a mad scientist. What scientific experiment would you run if money and ethics weren't an issue?
Here's the thing. One of the things that I am super excited about, that I've always wanted to figure out before anyone else, is time travel. And I would do anything to make that possible if I was ethically and morally corrupt.
Okay, so then I have to ask, though, like if there's something related to time travel that you'd be aspiring to change, what would be one of the things you're going to change then?
I'd just make everyone gay. The gay agenda.
So you would basically then also, so you'd be traveling back in time to then also genetically manipulate humans at their infancy to then make everyone predisposed to homosexuality.
I feel that would have been my duty.
Okay.
What about you, Scott?
Well, I don't know how to top that
I'm
one.
sure you know.
But
I don't think you would have any problems topping that one.
I mean that, you know, I can't speak about certain truths that others may not want me to mention, but no, seriously. I think if I were a mad scientist, I would love to be able to do mass testing of like terraforming. So like, understanding that they're with the large climate crisis that we have and sort of like are changing ecosystems, being able to manipulate large swath elements of our environment to adapt to really some of the changes that are coming across, like that to me would be like one of those things I would recklessly look to achieve. Because I mean, wouldn't it be great if you could somehow like replace a whole new forest that was completely immune to some of the droughts that we were having, that make, states like California very vulnerable to, again, climate change. So to me, that would be where I would just start recklessly spending a whole bunch of time and money and resources to try and fix.
Your decision would have been, I don't know, slightly more appropriate than mine, but
I mean, I don't know. I think that both are great. What are you talking about? Come on now. Come on. They're both awesome. I mean, who doesn't want a whole bunch of gay people running around?
Next question. What mythical creature would you improve would improve the world most if it existed? And this one is from Alexandra.
So what mythical creature would improve the world the most? I mean, we always need like pretty stuff and fabulous stuff. So to me, if there was just like a god awful amount of like just unicorns, I'm thinking like squirrel status, like where they're just kind of like everywhere, they're just like eating out of the garbage, you'll find them in the forest too, of course, but like, they'll just be like hanging out, like, down the street, but like fabulous, like rainbow haired unicorns, just everywhere.
I kind of hate you because that was also my answer. I just feel that if people just could interact with unicorns, the world would just be a better place in general, I feel.
Yeah. I mean, how could you not like feel so much better with your day if you got to like hang out with a unicorn? I mean, it's just, it's science. It's science. Don't ask questions why, but it's just science. Okay.
And they poop rainbows, which is amazing.
I mean, it's science. It's proven. Okay. So our last question is from Melanie. Then the question is, if animals could talk, which animal would be most likely the most rude or like the rudest?
Is this even a question? Cats, of course. Like,
oh my gosh, get out of my head.
What other animal would be toxic and abusive on a daily basis? Like, seriously.
I mean, my sister has a cat who I look at him and I swear he's judging me and also mere seconds away from murdering me for any given reason whatsoever. So like in my mind, when I think of like what animal would just be spouting off the most rude, judgmental things where I would be then crying in a corner, I would be a cat. Absolutely. Hands down.
Yeah. Well, we seem to have developed some form of telepathy over, what is it now, 11 episodes? So I'm sorry, everyone. We're just going to give you the same answer, both of us.
I mean, if they're good answers, then are we really having to apologize? Because I mean, they're just the right answer.
That's actually true. But I'm actually going to have to apologize to you now because it's time for the Swedish word of the week.
No. Okay. All right. I mean,
I'm sorry.
I will try my best, but I make zero promises. All right.
This one's actually pretty easy, and it's a former slang. It's used to some extent in some regions of Sweden, but it's a former slang for drag queens. And that word is druga.
Okay, you have to say that one more time.
Druga.
Druga.
Well, there you go. You did it.
Nice. Yes. We love a good druga. So it was slang, but now it's like common vernacular.
It's not used to as much, to the extent that it used to be. Like back, it was actually more common back in the 70s, I believe. So now people actually use the English term, which is just, we just say drag or drag queen in Swedish as well.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Yes.
Interesting.
And it was very fitting for today's theme.
I agree. It's pretty awesome.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you want to keep up with everything that's going on, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube under the username QueersPop. You can find me on Twitter at Novakovic and Scott at the Kilcannon. Scott is also the host of his own stream on Twitch if you want to join a lovely gaming community under the username Kilcannon. And next week will be our last episode for this season, and we're gonna try to make something really cozy for you guys. So I hope you'll be with us. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.